everybody. This is Jerry Moore at Phone Suite presenting what is SIP trunking and network requirements to use SIP trunking today. Happy to have you all on board. By the way, this is a regular webinar. We do these every 2 to 3 weeks, presenting various topics that are of interest to both our customers and hopefully of general interest to business owners and industry associates. So today we're talking about SIP trunking. This is not meant to be a highly technical tutorial, rather a way to explain very simply what SIP trunking is, why you might want to use it, and what you need to know if you're going to go forward with it. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll have questions at the end. I would like you to look at your GoToWebinar box, and you can see the box with questions there. You can hit that plus sign and type questions in. We'll address those at the end. So we'll go forward with the webinar at this point. Thank you all for attending, by the way. So what is SIP trunking? Like I said, we're going to keep this real simple, and the simplest explanation is instead of using the traditional telephone company to get our local lines and our connectivity to the outside world, we're now bringing those lines in over the internet. So it's a different way of getting things done in this world of bandwidth right now that we're in, and it has a lot of advantages. It has a lot of things to talk about. So why do we want to use them? Well, the most likely reason, of course, is lower cost, and they are considerably lower, and I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. There's some other reasons as well, though. Flexibility, and what I mean by that is you can add and subtract phone lines to your business or your group of businesses simply by, in most cases now, hitting a website with your SIP trunk provider, or certainly making a phone call. No need for a truck roll or technicians coming out to change anything. Most of this can be done directly over the internet, and that does make things much more rapid and adaptable. You can also share your SIP trunking resources over multiple properties or multiple businesses even. So an example of that is we have a particular customer with several different hotels all in the same general area of a state. And rather than each one of those properties having their own telephone company connections, they share a group of SIP trunks from the same provider, and they're able to lower their bill significantly. We're not going to talk about that too much in my cost savings example here. Let me bring that up. This is rather just for a small individual property, and given we make phone systems for hotels, this is regarding a hotel. So let's say we're in a very small hotel, probably around 40 to 50 rooms, and this hotel requires, as a business rule, 4 simultaneous phone calls possible at all times to serve both their administrative extensions and their guest extensions. So in a traditional environment, you would need at least 4 standard telephone lines to do that. The average cost is around $30 per month charged from a phone company like CenturyLink or AT&T. In addition to that basic charge, you have long-distance charges. Those are itemized long-distance bills you're familiar with. And, of course, taxes, surcharges, and fees. So let's just keep this simple and forget about the taxes and fees and just say I need 4 of those lines. So at $30 a month, plus an average of $20 a month just spread out all over all 4 of those lines, you'd be paying around $140 a month for this traditional service, and that certainly is what everybody is used to. SIP trunks, though, kind of provide a new way of looking at this thing, and there's lots of different services out there. In fact, if you Google SIP trunk providers, you'll probably get hundreds and hundreds of returns of providers out there vying for your business this way. A typical and conservative connection to it with a SIP trunk provider would be around $15 a month per connection. So to compare apples to a traditional service, I'm using that as my monthly fee. As with most SIP trunk providers, long distance is either free or extremely low charge, like less than 1/10 of a cent a minute. So those savings can add up quite a bit. In this case, if you were just paying that flat fee and all your long distance was in the U.S. and Canada, then you'd be netting out about $60 a month, saving $80 a month in savings, and nearly $1,000 a year in just telephone expense. So that's obviously the greatest reason to use SIP trunking is to save the money, but like all things telecom, it does have some gotchas. And that includes, it requires robust internet connectivity and may or may not require specialized equipment to use, but in most cases it does. So either an IP PBX or a traditional PBX. An IP PBX is able to use these kind of trunks natively without any additional equipment. Traditional PBXs can be used, but they do need what we call a media gateway to do a conversion that from the IP world to the traditional world, such that the traditional PBX can understand and still take advantage of it. So that equipment, of course, does have a cost associated with it, either a monthly cost or a purchase price. So why isn't everyone doing this? Well, there's a number of reasons. It's obviously, this is a new technology. It has been around for a number of years and just getting mainstream at this point. The equipment is getting better every day and the service is getting better every day. But still, for a lot of end users, it's not clearly understood how this works. They understand it comes over the internet, but they don't require or understand exactly what that means in terms of their internet connectivity. So it does require a careful inspection of the broadband requirements and what the SIP trunk provider is going to bring you. It depends a great deal on your internet connectivity, which may or may not be as reliable as your current phone service. So, for instance, in rural areas where maybe your internet connection goes up and down frequently, this would not be a good choice. In areas where your infrastructure is solid, internet keeps getting better and better every day, where connectivity is not really an issue. It may require you to consult and manage the data network, and that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be showing you a tool to use that both inside and outside the hotel. For our discussion today, we're concerned about looking outwards towards the SIP trunk providers, making sure we have internet connectivity that's going to work. Be cautious, though. Potential for poor quality or outright failure, if done incorrectly, is there. And we've seen many horror stories where people have tried to do this over very poor quality connections without really doing a lot of research and have failed miserably in trying to do so. So what are we doing about that? Well, we can determine whether your property is a candidate, if your business is a candidate, using what we call the Phone Suite SIP Trunk Network Assessment Tool, which is now available and you can order from us. We'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And we have the bandwidth for SIP trunking test. At this point then, I'm going to take you through this test and show you what exactly is involved with it. This is a tool then for you to use to find out whether your system is SIP trunk capable at this point. So SIP trunking stress test process, you see the little device there. That is a device we literally ship to you. So we configure this after talking to you, find out a little bit about your business. What size is it? Typically, how many conversations are you having at any given time? What do you expect from your system? What do you have now in terms of your trunking from the traditional phone company? Then together, of course, we decide on installation and testing dates together. And with that information, then we're ready to order the devices and we'll ship them to your location. Now, the testing itself, I've got a network diagram here, a very, very simple network diagram of what it may look like in a testing scenario. So here we have our actual test device that I just showed you. And in this case, it's in front of the router, so it is looking directly at your internet connection. It's not concerned with anything going on behind the router inside your business in this test. So we're looking upstream towards your internet service provider and to the internet or the cloud of the internet, and we're reporting to our website where we actually record all these statistics. From this information, once we do this, the testing is in place, we simulate a great deal of traffic coming from your location. So we simulate it based on what we would estimate the volume of traffic would be, run that over your internet connection, and that gives us data to that website that we report back to you. So some of the things we report is the quality of calls that's simulated, and that is judged on what's called mean opinion scoring, which literally means I, as a human, this is what I hear, it sounds good to me, or it sounds bad to me. The technical side of that is the bandwidth report, the things that can make your SIP trunking and the voice quality go bad, those are things called latency, jitter, delay, and by delay I mean packet delay, and of course capacity, so trying to squeeze too much over a very small connection. So we're doing this test and running it at volume that's simulated with what you do normally on your internet connection, as well as running voice over it as well. So what that gets you is a report, and that report will be shared with you, and this will tell you what we have found. So now we know, before we ever go about shopping for SIP trunks, whether our network's even ready for it. So as you can see in this case on the sample report, we got a great deal of trouble going on, such that the calls were considered poor or even terrible, as opposed to very few actually being great. The information down here will tell a provider who can read this information carefully where those traffic jams are starting, what's causing the problems, whether it's a capacity issue or if it's something else within your network causing the problems. So this is the kind of report we share with you. We'll deliver all that to email to the stakeholders that you present, and then we'll discuss that with you over the phone and via email as well. Make recommendations for you. Again, the entire idea here is to make sure before you leap into the SIP trunks that you are actually have the network necessary to make them work successfully. So how do we do all this? It's pretty simple. We try and make this very easy so people can take advantage of it. We have a cost in the devices, of course. So we do ask for a $500 deposit, excuse me, and that deposit is refunding when the devices get back to us here at PhoneSuite. Typically, this kind of testing would take a month or less, so we charge a fee of $75 a month. That helps us pay for the programming of these devices, talking with you and providing those reports. Again, it should only take a month or less for this to be completed. We refund all fees with the acceptance of a quote from us for our IP system. So obviously this is a way to introduce you to us and provide you some valuable information as well. However, if you purchase any IP system after you get this test from us, then with that proof of purchase, we will refund your $75 as well. So net, of course, is this is a free product for you to use if you take advantage of it and use our service. So to do this, it's a matter of simply ordering from PhoneSuite. You can do that by email at sales@phonesuite.com, or of course you can call us at 1-800-245-9933. So there's our information today on SIP trunking. It's, like I said, very basic. It's meant to pique your interest in our product and in SIP trunking in general to see if you can take advantage of it.